Hello everyone, this is Jonathan from Cray Card Fighters. Now my last video on beating the meta was about Shadow Paladins. I'm here to go more in depth on that, and I'm actually here to, this is going to be the redone version of it, since I wasn't happy with how the last one turned out. On Shadow Paladins, you have a clan that they limit your opponent's field while adding pressure by superior calling, by giving power and a crit to the Vanguard. Now this is a forced clan, so they're used to hitting high numbers. The key cards that I've noticed to watch out for is Phantom Blaster Dragon, Blaster Dark, Matcha, Namain, and Badhab Car, which is the grade 3 that Soul Blast and allows you to Superior Call. So let's take them one at a time, starting with Phantom Blaster Dragon. Phantom Blaster Dragon's skill is Counterblast 1, retire 3 rear guards, have your opponent retire 3 rear guards, give this card 15,000 and a crit. This skill is essentially free on first ride, so it procs off very well. But his secondary skill is where he becomes really good as a pressure card. If you happen to have a grade 3 in Soul Blast 1 grade 3, and you get to deal your opponent 1 damage as long as they're 4 or less. So if you happen to be at 4 damage at the beginning of your turn, and you were long cards because you thought maybe you could pull a heal trigger, or you didn't think that you would have to guard with all those cards in your hand, you're guarding with all those cards in your hand because before the first attack, you're doing a damage check. And you better hope it's a trigger so that it's easier to guard. Another thing is that the giving the power and crit to Phantom Blaster Dragon is not a once per turn skill. That skill can be procced off as long as you have Counterblast open and 3 rear guards to retire. So if you were able to proc it once due to the domains, and then you had cards in hand that you can call 3 more rear guards, or how many more rear guards you need to equal 3, then that's plus 30,000 and 2 crits to the already 13 base. So that is 43 with 3 crits and a drive check. If your opponent does not have either a lot of cards in hand or a PG, it can be GG. Next card I'm looking at is Blaster Dark. Blaster Dark, he has a skill that when he's placed on Vanguard or Rear Guard, Counterblast 1 and retire a card in your opponent's front row. Then, when on Vanguard Circle, you can discard 1 card, and this card gains Twin Drive. Notice that he gains Twin Drive as a grade 2, so he's really high for pressure. The next card is Matcha. Matcha allows you to Superior Call a card. Namain is another one that Superior Calls. And then you have Badhab Car, who also Superior Calls. So this deck does deck thin. Normally it runs 8 crits, 4 draws, 4 heals. Seems to be standard in Force. So this deck's all about getting pressure on. But the problem with the clan, though, too, is that they suffer from pressure. If you pressure them early, then they don't do well because they need cards in hand in order to proc off the grade 3. The clan is weak before grade 2. The clan is very strong on their second grade 3 ride. If they only rolled once to grade 3 and it happened to be Bob Carr, Phantom Blaster Dragon, or even Dark Dictator, while those are all good rides, except for maybe Bob Carr, because you always want that as one of your rear guards. But in worst case scenario, he can be a ride target. They're manageable. More Bob Carr than anyone else. Dark Dictator, you call a card, Counterblast 1, gains 5,000, and you pop something of your opponent's field. Great. It's a good card. Also allows pressure because you take away one of your opponent's intercepts while gaining power. But if you're able to pressure the Shadow Paladin player, and he's not, and he doesn't want to drop cards to guard because he has key pieces in his hand, he's taking damage. He's putting himself in a worse position. Generally, around the grade 3 turn, you generally have around 3 damage. And that gives you some counterblasts to play with. 4 damage, okay, start guarding a little bit more. 5 damage, you're guarding for your life. So if you can push them to at least 4 damage before grade 3, which Gold Paladins does this really well, and I can see Kagero being a pretty bad matchup for Shadow Paladins, only because you're popping cards, forcing them to call more, minusing from their hand. Another clan that I could see doing really well against Shadow Paladins is Murakumo, because Murakumo locks their Vanguard and they can't make that other ride. So if you lock them on their first grade 3 ride, then they can't go into Phantom Blast or Dragon. They drop. And if you had Musashi on the field, they're dropping a whole lot of cards, and they don't get the +2 from attacking with the Vanguard because Vanguard can't stand, can't attack. Or what you can do is you can keep them on that Vanguard by keep calling an Arrestor every turn with Zanbaku's skill. And while that won't stop them from attacking with their Vanguard, it stops their Vanguard from riding. That's another important thing. Because if they can't ride to Phantom Blast or Dragon, who's their big win condition, then how are they going to be able to deal with the pressure of Murakumo in general? Now, as a Shadow player, you want to have your rear guard moderately full at all times, or cards that allow you to get your field full for almost no cost, like Nemain. Great card for that. Rest it, call another copy in Nemain, or anything that has 5,000 power or less, which is usually a trigger or a Nemain. That's it. End of the game, you really don't want to be forced to use Nemain to call out a trigger, but if you do, you kind of don't want it to be a crit or a heal. So you're forced to use your draw triggers. Another way to approach this is you want to put as much pressure as you can while still staying safe. I have a friend of mine that he plays Shadow Paladins. Really good player. Jonathan Vallejo. He's a really good Shadow Paladin player. I saw him playing in one of my locals before. And this game lasted so long that that they had to call final turn, and he would have won it if time didn't run out. Because Shadow Paladin players, they can be highly technical players too. As long as they are confident in what the deck does, they can be scary. So this guide can help. It also depends on the player skill as well. So I think next time we're going to be covering Neo Nectars and strategies to beat them, so that this way, if anyone's listening to these, that they can gain strategies in order to deal with the meta better. If you guys want a clan covered, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll get to it as soon as possible. The Neo Nectar video, you should be expecting it maybe by Friday. It's going to take me a while to do all the research on it. And I'll see you then. Bye.